So first off, who are you?
So my name's Rikki. I'm a content producer, but I also work on TVCs, reality TV shows, also a lot of lifestyle and all various different forms of media as well.
When approaching a creative project, what is your like process in terms of like getting started?
Getting started into the project, it depends sort of what area you're going into. But I guess how I'd always start something is creative, and it might take a little while when you're not doing it every day, is knowing the timelines. So even before you've got your team together, is putting down those timelines and knowing your schedules. Because once you've got that, trying to get all of your colleagues or anyone in a creative team, um, we actually need a lot more structure. Even though we're creatively minded, we need to have that structure down to actually go forward.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But just to elaborate on working with others, would you have any
Yeah.
advice for someone, for example, me who's going into working in creative fields and working in groups and teams? Would you have any advice on working in teams and creating a creative environment while still being able to, get projects done?
Yes, definitely showing that you're multi-skilled. A lot of people are a little bit worried about showing that they might have, five or six different skills. Like you might actually be good at graphic design as well as producing, or, you might actually be quite handy on the cameras. Actually telling people that you've got these multiple skills will actually get you into those projects in the first place. And once, you're sort of new to the industry, you can actually build on those skills, and it might actually be in a direction that you didn't expect either. But actually going in, being telling your project manager, which would be someone like myself, what skills you can offer, would definitely be beneficial. And it also helps all the other people in the team, because a lot of the time when we go into projects, we just assume that everyone knows everything, but we're all actually quite terrified in there. It's
Yeah.
the first time you're doing one of these projects. For example, if I'm about to make a TVC, I know how to run the project, but a lot of the things I'm doing, I haven't done before. We're creating scenes that we've never made before, and we want to do something a little bit different. So no matter who you are, if you're brand new and you're new to the industry, or if you've been in the industry a very long time, it's still very, very daunting. So put your hand up and tell us what you can offer.
We talked at the start about what you do. Could you give us some like detail on projects that you have worked on? So,
Yes. So I work a lot with a lot of government agencies. I'd sort of preferred not to name which ones, but I can easily say like the army, defence, the police,
yeah,
those kind of areas. And some of the projects you're managing are quite high profile. So anything you're doing, any kind of mistake can really get picked up. So you're always a little bit on edge. But yeah, I know it's very much on edge. But I also work on travel documentaries as well, which are on Channel 7. So yeah, I do lots of different things. So one week you'll be, terrified that you're doing something wrong by the police and trying to create an advert, and the next week you'll be, flying around Victoria filming people skydiving. So I've found in this industry, it's not like a cookie cutter, you're supposed to only be doing this role. You will move around, and as I said before, the more skills that you can offer, not just one particular thing, the more likelihood you'll get to experience all these different areas.
so we
Yeah.
have to do an expo about 2050, and we have to pick an issue. And my group has done sustainable communities. We're looking into that. And how would you approach, as a professional in the media industries, approach making an expo on sustainable communities or in general about 2015 and how to solve problems in those things?
I've actually recently done a few mini documentaries on like things like single-use plastic and green industries as well. So I would actually take the environmental approach, only because that's sort of my background as well. Um, it's one of those things where it's a hard one to answer because if you're doing it in a group environment, you need to know sort of what your aim is. Yeah, that's something I'd probably myself personally, if I was approaching this project, I would be sort of putting my head down and thinking about it for making sure I put that time aside and not being distracted, is actually sitting down and trying to think what would I find interesting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time we think, oh, what would other people like, but it's actually sometimes what you find interesting, and you think, oh, maybe it's a terrible idea, all these things, and that's actually what people do want to hear. So yeah, to answer your question, I probably would put my head down for at least a day so I can really think of something that means something personally to me.
Yeah, that's really good. Do you find that with in your work that you are more inspired and able to do things that you feel passionately about?
I do. It didn't start off that way though. When I first started in the industry, I didn't feel like I was doing anything I wanted to be doing. And you find that a lot with people who do enter the industry. It's a lot of people tend to. I'm not saying they're giving up, because they're not. It's just they've got so many things that interfere. For example, a really big one, and it's the one that impacts me the most, is financial.
Yeah.
During COVID, you're losing a lot of work. I've just come back from a documentary, and I have a fear every single time that I have to take a rat test to make sure I can do my next job. And if I can't, then I don't get my pay. So it is a little bit tricky for people who do enter into the industry. Only over the past few years, and I don't know if it's a streak of luck or what, but some reason I got recognized. And as soon as I had any kind of recognition, other people started recognizing me too. It's like it was just going flat, or actually, it was actually going a little bit down, and all of a sudden it just went up. And I don't know how or why, but that's just how it happened. And it's happened for a few people too, a lot of my friends, but it's a very, very daunting area to try and get into when you're new.
Thank you so much. You gave me some great insights to the industry as well as helping me out on the summit. So I'm highly appreciative. Thank you for making the
That's
time.